Now, FaZe is really all about health regen. She is the first person to really kind of play with health regen, giving it to somebody else, really amplifying it with on herself. Very interesting hero. Now, there is one card that amplifies healing, and that is Clearheart. Gives you an extra 15%, and since you can give that to somebody else, is it worth it? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Paragon Guide. I am Sylphin. So, we're taking a look on Clearheart, and, well, it's complicated. First off, it is a 5 CP growth card that gives you 1 CP of mana regen, meaning you pay 4 CP for the passive. It's a 4 CP passive, so it's, when it comes to supports, paying 4 CP, it's harder than every other role in the game. Now, if we analyze the card, we can see that it has a 15% increased healing as a passive. Any lifesteal or heal or health regen that you get is increased by 15%. Now, the total opportunity cost for Clearheart is 5 CP. You're missing out on a fully upgraded bonus, plus you're paying 4 CP for the passive, meaning kind of you're paying, in a way, at the end of the day, 5 CP's worth of value for that passive. So we're not going to include that mana regen. Supports can use that mana regen anyways. It's a fantastic stat, so really, that's not a detriment. No matter how you look at it, that mana regen's not a detriment on a support, so we're not going to consider that. 5 CP is what we're playing with to see if something is useful. Now, this is a little bit weird of a way that I did this. This is FaZe's health regen, and this is the target, your linked target's health regen. So this is kind of all the health regen that FaZe gets and all that the targets get. Now, this is normal health regen without Clearheart, and this is with Clearheart. This is the target's normal health regen that they get through the link, and this is the target's health regen that they get through the link with Clearheart. This is the amount of these various cards or upgrades and abilities, stuff like that, and this is the total amount of, like, this adds this adds all these. So this is kind of like a running total of these, and then Clearheart, this is the same here for the amount that each of these gives with Clearheart, and this is kind of a running total of all of these. Now, when we take a look, what does it say? Well, if we are going to consider that the opportunity cost here of going into Clearheart is 5 CP, well, we're gonna assume that you take that 5 CP and put it into health regen. So the normal scenario gets 5 CP worth of health regen, whereas Clearheart does not. So you can see here, because that is transferred over to your target, you can see that they get it, but in the Clearheart scenario, they don't, because, well, you're taking that 5 CP and putting it on Clearheart. Now, we're going to assume that you have 10 CP of health regen in your build. Yeah, it could be more, it could be less. My deck, by the end game, there's many other great utility cards that I think are much more valuable than, you know, more than spending more than that much on the Barrier of Will, Cast Converter, Quenching Scales, you know, your Ward. What else do I have in there? I think the Thermal Bond is really good for her, just because the enemy team has to control you, has to take you down. So that is a great way to counter her counter. It's a counter to her counter. And then your last card can be whatever you want. I run a Tainted Magic, but anyways, the 10 CP of health regen, that's what we're gonna go for. And we can see that in the normal scenario, gives you 14 health regen, and a total of 21 for so far. On Clearheart, it is enhanced to 16.1 for a total of 16.1. So the normal scenario is winning out so far. On your target, it's the same thing. The target, it's the same thing. So you can see here that the total between, so the total health regen that you and your target get, kind of, if we're taking a broad, a broad view of both FaZe and her target, we can see that the normal, without Clearheart, 42 health regen between you and your target, and 32 between you and your target on Clearheart total. So you can kind of see like the total value of everything here. So you can see normal is still winning, Clearheart not so much. Now if you add in a circlet, which is what I definitely have in my deck for a long time, I try to keep that as much as possible. It normally gives 5.6 on just FaZe. So the running total, and Clearheart, it gets enhanced, and the running total. On your target though, they get the local, they get the global stacked on top of each other, plus they get yours that are stacked to each other. So it's an insane value of 11.2 health regen that they get through the link. With Clearheart, that is enhanced, and there's the running total. So at this point, very standard, I would say, very standard, you can see that Clearheart is at a disadvantage. So Clearheart is at a disadvantage so far. Now, this requires some talking. I couldn't find a way, a reliable, a fair, a thing that would work in most scenarios way than doing it like this. Cast Converter, Overflowing Gifts, and your passive, your Telekinetic Link passive that grants you, 35 up to 75 health regen for 2 seconds every time you use an ability. You don't spam these all the time, right? You don't. You use it when it's needed. Or Telekinetic Link, it's part of her kit. You use Overflowing Gifts when you need it. So like, how can I compare that? How can I compare normal and Clearheart? How do I get a reliable number? How do we look at this? So I chose to do it this way because it actually proves, it actually ends up proving the point. I chose to, and this was complicated for the passive. This is really complicated for the passive. You can see here like pretty crazy formula in there. It's pretty complicated. What I did was, we're going to assume that you're using Cast Converter at all times. Whenever it's off cooldown, you are using it. Whenever Overflowing Gifts is off cooldown, you're always using it. Whenever one of your abilities is up, you are using your abilities. Okay? This is a crazy scenario to try to see if it is even viable in your average case. You and your target are both not at full health, so that you're actually utilizing the health regen, right? If you're at full health, health regen is pointless. So it's a crazy scenario that, trust me, will prove a point. So Cast Converter ends up being the equivalent of 10.6 health regen every second if you were to spam it at all times. Overflowing Gifts ends up being 4.1 health regen per second if you're spamming it whenever it's off cooldown. And Telekinetic Link, your passive, if you were to use all of your abilities all the time with your Telekinetic Link at level 3, actually ends up being 41.2 health regen. It's kind of impressive, but that does require you to use every single one of your abilities all the time, at all times. So obviously that's kind of dumb. You end up seeing that Telekinetic Link, the least likely thing out of all of these items or abilities, is the one that finally makes Clearheart viable. You can see Clearheart isn't viable even if you're spamming Cast Converter all the time with all of these. Clearheart is still not viable if you're spamming every Cast Converter and Overflowing Gifts. It's only when Telekinetic Link, when you're just spamming your abilities at all times, which is super ridiculous, that it becomes viable. Which I think proves the point. It's not viable. Clearheart, I cannot see that it is viable in a build that you aren't going for a crazy amount of health regen, which I would not recommend because there are so many great other cards. There is a Teleblink if you really want to. There's a Thermobond, which I would recommend. There's Barrier of Will, which I would absolutely recommend. There's Quenching Scales, which I would recommend. There's a one health regen card that I would like. There's so many other options. There's a Ward that you just gotta have. You gotta have those. So, building more than 15-20 CP of mana regen, I don't think is something that is super duper strong on phase, and that there's a lot of other situations, a lot of other cards that you should be thinking of. So this isn't too crazy. Obviously spamming all these abilities are, which just proves Clearheart not too viable. There is one scenario. Obviously, guys, Quenching Scales will benefit from Clearheart, but only on yourself. It's an instantaneous heal that does not get transferred to your linked target. Only health regen is, not a heal. So, yes, Clearheart will help you, but that's a 300-400 point heal every seldom. So, it's not that simply is not going to be worth it. If you want to do a build that you are so entirely focused on single target healing with more than 34 CP of health regen, then yes, Clearheart is viable. The breaking point between health regen and quenching and Clearheart is 34 CP. It is finally worth it at 34 CP of health regen. If you are building that in your build, then great. That is absolutely worth it. But like I said before, there are so many other cards that you really need to get. I really kind of wouldn't recommend getting that much health regen. Hopefully, guys, this makes sense. Hopefully, you guys can understand why I did this. We had to go to the absurdity in order for it to really kind of make sense. So it's not I don't think it's viable. It's really not viable. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Should you go crazy single target healing with like 34 plus CP's worth of health regen, or are you more the team focused support with Barrier of Will, Quenching Scales, a Ward, other team focused cards, and of course the tankiness that you really should be getting on a support? Which one do you go for? The one that makes Clearheart viable, a lot of single target health regen, or a team focus? Clearheart viable, Clearheart not. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, please, because I think it'd be quite interesting to see what a lot of people think about Clearheart, the strategy, a lot of single target, a lot of team utility. What do you think is, what do you think? What do you think? Please subscribe if you guys like this content or if you found it useful. I would really, really love to be able to do it for you in the future. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.